words every time. It's a Tara show with Dublin and Devlin. Hey, hey, we're on the show now. Here we go. It's starting the show. Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Tara show. I am Tara Dublin. And that's Tara Devlin over there. Which way? It's that way.
That way.
No?
It's the opposite way.
That
Yeah, you
way.
got it. You got it.
It is that way. There
And
she
you're
is. Hey.
that way.
Hey, I am that way.
That
And
way.
I'm wearing my
Wait.
new cat shirt that I bought over the weekend that says "Just shut up." Just shut up.
I like that.
Shut up. I know. It's something that I used to say a lot because of the Bugs Bunny cartoon. Shut up, shutting up. Okay,
remember
I'm
Bugs
shutting
Bunny.
up. All right, Clancy, take the boys and surround the house. That's from that one. But anyway, just shut up has been my mood regarding
I
the
wish
Republicans.
they would all just
and
shut
all
up. Right?
Oh my goodness, we have so much to get to, and look at us being so lucky that our fearless leader is representing us accurately on the global stage. What am I saying? That's not true. Donald Trump is over in the Middle East. He's making a big visit, and he brought his human security blanket, Elon Musk, with him. And they're making a new deal with the Saudis and accepting a $400 million plane from Qatar. Way to go, MAGA. Thanks so much. Thank you for making us continue to be less safe and more embarrassed about what's happening to our country on the global stage. It is really, Tara and I were just talking about this right before the show started. The plane, he cannot accept this plane. I don't care what the DOJ says, and I don't care what former Qatari, what was her job? Pam Bondi? She did something.
God.
She was like God, what's that word? My mind is falling apart. What's going on? She was a
Bondi? Oh, she was the Attorney General of Florida.
No, I know that, but she was she did something for Qatar. She was
she did. Oh, she was another one of these foreign agents
and
that never.
Yeah, something like that.
Did she
raised
disclose
money.
it? Because that's what they don't. This is the pattern in maggot world.
What's the word, Jam? Come on, help an adult old woman.
What are you talking about?
Post-menopausal mommy brain. She worked for the Qatari government. She was like an emissary. Not the words it's not emissary. God, it's right. It's here in the dead zone, right at the tip of my tongue.
I'll find it.
A lobbyist. I got it. She was a lobbyist. Thank you. A lobbyist for Qatar, and received $115,000 a month from the government, and arranged in the past for gifts from the government.
They're all traitors.
And so she has a previous relationship with the government of Qatar, which Donald Trump pronounces as Qatar, which isn't wrong, but not really the right way to say it. You're supposed to say it Qatar. That's how Hal Sparks says it, and Hal Sparks says it a way, then that means that's the right way.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, she, as the attorney general, was like, sure, it's fine. You can take this $400 million gift. That's not a violation of the emoluments clause. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And 100%, yes, it is. And even some of Trump's most devout, staunch loyalists are like, you cannot take this. You cannot. People on Newsmax are like, I don't think this is right. And Charlie Kirk is pushing back, and Ben Shapiro is pushing back, and even Ted Cruz.
Okay. Well,
Permanent Trump toilet / bidet, Turd Cruz, is like, I'm not sure this is okay. And Trump is falling asleep on camera yet again on the global stage, and Marco Rubio is like, shh, because I guess it's really hard to get over jet lag when you're a traitor to the United States.
Well, you don't need to be awake to have someone stuff a bunch of money in your pockets, do you? You just wake up and it's like, wow, it's Christmas again.
Yeah, wow. And weird how, they're just hanging out with MBS. So there's Elon and Trump and MBS.
It's
and
disgusting.
Nobody's wielding a chainsaw that we can see.
It's
upsetting. How you're looking at this happening. All I can think about is Jamal Khashoggi, as should anybody with any basic human decency, and instead they're not talking about that, but they are brokering a new deal between the United States and the Saudis because Donald Trump is in their pocket.
Yeah, I mean, he visited Saudi Arabia on his first official visit last maladministration, and they know how to play him. The last time when he went there, remember he was like stroking their swords and playing with a giant glow.
Remember
What
that
was that? A
orb?
glowing
Remember
orb? Yeah,
the glowing orb
touching
of
the
power?
glowing orb. And
What?
they projected his face onto
Oh
buildings
my
when they
god.
got him at the airport or wherever, and they
Oh my.
took him through town. They had
Oh,
his
yep.
face, his giant, disgusting face on the sides of
Nothing.
buildings.
Nothing but an ego boost.
That's
Nothing
all.
but
That's all that happened. And then he was
empty.
so
So empty.
impressed. And this is the thing with the maggots. With they're all traitors, by the way, by either by
Okay.
being useless idiots or by deliberate, treason. Some of them
Right.
just that's what because let's not forget that the Mueller investigation did what as much as they cry. No collusion, no collusion. That's not what the Mueller investigation found. It found that there was direct access, that the Russians were routinely accessing the Trump campaign, and that the Trump campaign was routinely sharing with them data about how they could micro-target the morons in red states. And they said, but what the conclusion was that they just didn't know it, too. That while some of them, like Paul Manafort, and a lot of them went to jail for it.
Right.
I mean, you don't need a pardon for no collusion, do you? A lot of these assholes went to jail over witch hunts, right? Even though it was, because they pled guilty to their parts in
Right.
these things. So,
Yes.
and then
Yes,
he
they
pardoned
did.
them, but the Mueller investigation said that that they just didn't realize it. I mean, they're just a bunch of morons. That's how stupid
course
they
they
are.
are.
They weren't like
Of
doing
course
it
they
to some of the times that they met with the Russians. They're just useless idiots. That's it.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely complicit. And like we talked about, I talked about it on House Show, but we also talked about it last week. The hearing where there was a field trip from a school on the in the House, and Joe Neguse asked his Republican counterpart colleagues why they wouldn't vote for the bill that would continue to provide clean air and water. And he asked his Republican colleagues, why? Why? Will any of you answer? And instead of answering, they sat in silence for 4 minutes rather than try to justify hurting the American people, which is
Wow.
what they're doing. And they're continuing to do it, and they're doing it every single day. And like just today, House Republicans tweeted that they're trying to save Medicaid for pregnant moms. No, you're not.
Oh, please.
You're voting against it.
Right.
I responded. I tweeted them, and I was like, you are actively trying to hurt Americans. You are actively trying to kill us. Is what you are doing. Hi, Katie.
Yeah, he
So-
likes to come up when we do the
as
show
he
for some
should.
reason.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Sarah Junior,
That's right. Pull
Junior.
all the baby, kitty. So it's just Democrats are calling Republicans out for what they're doing, which is great. But what we're also seeing, and hopefully people joining us are also seeing it, some Republicans, some not enough, but some Republicans are stepping up on this plain thing. And they're like, no, you cannot accept a $400 million Trojan horse disguised as a tacky gold sky palace. You can't. You cannot. And there are there's so many reasons. Like, it's a violation of the Emoluments Clause. They want to repaint it as Air Force One, so that violates the Hatch Act.
It's so embarrassing, too, isn't it?
Yes, and then there's Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. And then there's all kinds of things that basically, in case you didn't know, Donald Trump is a traitor to the United States.
Yeah.
And so is anybody who is supporting him. But there is pushback. And the pushback is coming from people, not just your average, everyday person, but like people on Newsmax are saying, this is just
You're
isn't sitting
very
well with
generous.
me."
I mean, I whatever. They're.
I'm just saying.
I get it.
Anytime we see them pushing back with us, like, again, it's the enemy of my enemy is my
Yeah.
friend. Even in the moment, Laura Loomer is mad about it. If
I
Laura
know.
Loomer is mad at
It's true.
Trump, that's bad, right? Like, Laura
Yeah.
Loomer mad at Trump for this, and Eric Erickson mad about it. That's not good. Ben Shapiro, losing Ben Shapiro is a big deal in the moment. They'll align with him for other stuff. But for me, it's like a facet. Like, I'm watching all of this between this and the South African refugees who
Oh,
come
God.
to America. These great, and they are not, by the way, they're not starving. They're not escaping
No.
persecution. And I'm not one to body shame, but I saw a photo of there's like 25 of them. That's it. It's this very select group of Afrikaners who are claiming persecution. And I'm going to say this right now: white people are not persecuted. We are not. No one's persecuting white people. Jewish people, sure. Melanated people, absolutely. White people, nope. Nope. White, I mean,
Yeah.
sorry if apartheid isn't doing enough for you these days, right? Because they eliminated apartheid in South Africa, but there are people who believe it should still exist. And so those are the people who have just come to our country. So I guess MAGA is fine with refugees as long as they're white,
Yes.
and MAGA white refugees can take their jobs. That's okay. It's okay if a
Right.
white refugee takes your job, but not a melanated refugee.
It's just
So,
it's
okay.
bullshit. I even saw a maggot online going, "Now I'm finally proud to see refugees in our country," with pictures of all, and I'm like, "Gee, I wonder what the difference is." They're all
Well,
white people. So
They're
but
white
it's,
and they're probably very wealthy and
Yes.
paid for this opportunity, right? There was one family that I
they
saw where
are.
it was
They
just
are
like,
actually. So that's one of
so
their
right.
characteristics of
And
this group.
we need to, and I hope that Democrats investigate this group and find
Mm-hmm.
out exactly how much money was given to the Trump administration. Because if you're buying citizenship, that seems illegal, because it is.
They were doing it the
And
first
there was
time,
a family.
though. Yeah, if that's
Right,
what
well, of
happened the
course.
first time. The what's his face,
Ma-
Kushner was going around China last maladministration, offering visas to Chinese
Right.
businessmen for a
Right.
price. And yes,
Yeah,
men.
right.
I mean men. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, that's terrible. This
Yeah.
time it's just like regular white people who have a lot of money and for whatever reason don't want to live in South Africa anymore. Maybe they're getting taxed too much.
Who
I
knows?
don't know.
Yeah.
Probably. There was a one family that I saw where the father and mother had little blonde, just like super blonde, Hitler youthy looking kids, but the mother and father were, let's say, well fed. Let's say they're fine, right? They're not starving. They're
They're
definitely
like his
having
friend on the fat injection drug, or is that what you're trying to say?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're going to benefit from a lower priced fat reducing drug, because he couldn't remember the word Ozempic, 'cause his brain is oatmeal. So these people are going to come to our country. I don't think they're going to be taking jobs from anyone, because they've just paid for the privilege of being here, and they'll probably live in a very exclusive community
Yeah.
and enjoy a high tax bracket and not really be Americans, is my guess. That's my guess. I would like to know why. Of course, no Republican would answer us. But those are questions that should be asked of GOP leadership today. Like, why? You're okay with this,
Well, we know
but
why.
not with. I know we know why. I want them to be forced to answer
Yes.
on the record,
Yes.
or on camera, or both. I
Uh-huh.
want those
Well,
answers.
they won't. They'll
Because,
sit silent. You saw
well, of
them.
course they will. And as the late great Helen Thomas said, and passed the wisdom on down to our friend and compatriot Brian Karam, just ask the question. Like,
Right.
just asking the question can be enough in certain situations. Like if you're someone who is in the White House press room, because there's 11 people who are apparently allowed to go, and 10 of them are from the right wing, and one is from
God.
maybe Reuters. I don't even know anymore. But like someone from ABC News asked Trump about the plane, and he was like, that's a terrible question.
Oh, yeah, you're
ABC News is
stupid.
a
You're
disaster.
dumb. Uh-huh.
Right,
Oh,
right. Because he
God, I
can't
hate them.
answer the question. He attacks the questioner,
Uh-huh.
which we see. But like, the question needs to be asked. Why is this group allowed in the country without any sort of, they don't have
Well,
to do
they
anything.
they
can just
made
be
a-
allowed.
Right.
I want them asked on camera. Just like I want them asked on camera, are you loyal to Trump or are you loyal to America?
Right.
That's
What they
honestly
need
the only
to
question
say.
I want Republicans asked
Yes.
anymore.
What the Democrats need to put out there on the floor, if this is even possible, it's probably not, because they're not in the majority now that I'm saying this, but they need to have some kind of resolution asking whether Trump is infallible or not, because they all
Yeah.
agree that Trump is right all the time. They wear hats that said Trump is right about everything.
Oh
They
my
do
God,
nothing.
and he's
They
right about nothing.
yeah, about their Article 1 powers. They've completely abdicated to this freak, to this absolute traitor. and
Wanting
they
to get
need.
rid of due process and
Yeah,
habeas
it's
corpus.
please.
No,
That's
no.
the other thing, and I
Oh,
wrote an article about that on the Political Voices
you did.
Substack, because if you it's all gaslighting, of course. This is the age of
Yes, it
gaslighting
is.
and the age of grifters. That's what it will be
Right.
remembered: the Gilded Age of grifters and gaslighting. And this is
Great.
where this age is going to be remembered as. And
Oh my God.
if you listen to Stephen Miller, Mini Goebbels, he Pee Wee German, right? That's what some other people
Pee
call
Wee
him. Pee Wee
German,
German,
Capo
yeah.
Nosferatu is
Low
my
rent,
nickname for him.
yeah, low rent Goebbels or whatever. There's a bunch of
Sure,
names, but
sure.
they
God, he's evil.
he starts his justification or his call to unravel or undo habeas corpus in peacetime, because it has happened before. It happened during the Civil War, and of course, we've also
After Pearl Harbor.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but he starts his justification with the Constitution is the law of the land, and then he goes into this is how we're going to wipe our asses with the Constitution. So so
Yeah.
you're going to be you're like cuckoo here. It's round, it's circle
And it's
jerk.
not.
It's just the circle jerk group think of fascist justification. Then you hear it with Caroline Leavitt. She does the same thing. Of course, everyone knows Trump. There is the emoluments clause, and we are abiding by every law, but blah blah
No,
blah.
you're not.
And
No,
then
you're
they
not.
go
No,
and then
you're
they
not.
excuse the crimes. It's
Right. One
it's part
something
of
I
it.
read this morning was that Pam Bondi is like, so she has the title of AG, but she's not actually doing the job of AG. She's like the figurehead, and Stephen Miller is the one really running the
Oh, yeah,
DOJ,
I'm
and he's
sure.
not even a lawyer. He doesn't
Yes,
have a law
exactly.
degree.
He has a degree in
So
political science from where was it? I just did the
uh,
article. I can't remember,
Trump
but
University? Is it
Brown
Trump
maybe
from Trump
something like
University?
yeah, Trump University is more like it.
So
Yeah.
it's really disheartening for me as an American Jew watching him and Howard Aslick just
Oh
betray
yes.
not just the Jewish people, but America. They're betraying America, and it's disgusting to me. And also
Yes.
Stephen Miller, everybody knows what he looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That man is 39
I know.
human years old. He's actually an ancient succubus that rises with at sundown to feast on the
39.
blood of babies
Wow.
separated from their mothers at the border. He is only 39. I'm 56.
Wow.
I'll
Wow.
just say,
He's
like
yeah.
we're all deteriorating in our own ways, but at least mine is not, because hate is rotting me from the
Oh,
inside out.
he's evil.
Unreal the amount of evil that is taking place right in front of us, and at least some are willing to step up and call it out. And it's just a matter of enough Republicans who are able to join with Democrats to hold them accountable. And I talked about this on Hal's show yesterday, and I actually shared a meme that somebody made. It's like, it's just time for Trump to go, and I don't even care how at this point. So one of the things that we've learned over the last few months is some Republicans were getting threatened behind closed doors to approve his appointees or suffer some sort of consequences, like Joni Ernst bullying Tom Tillis to vote to confirm Pete Hegseth is a thing. And we know about and Lisa Murkowski saying that they're afraid, right? They're afraid. At this point, I don't care if you're afraid. I don't care
Yeah.
if you're a coward. Go behind closed doors. Do a vote behind closed doors, because I guarantee you, if they did a secret impeachment vote behind closed doors in the Senate, he would overwhelmingly be found guilty. Overwhelmingly so. If people didn't have to put their names on the record, if nobody had to watch them do it, if they needed to do it in complete darkness and silence, fucking fine, do it.
Yeah,
I
do
don't
it.
care anymore. You have to. And I gave people a call to action yesterday on Hal's show, because he has a lot of people in his chat room, and we're building ours as well. And people who watch the show even afterwards, we're getting over 2,000 views, which is
That's great.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna issue the same call to action today and every day. Your call to action is to call Republicans. we already know what Democrats are up against, right? And we're watching them push back. We have seen examples with Jasmine Crockett and Melanie Stansbury and Robert Garcia, and the people who stood up to defend our representatives who were threatened physically in Newark at the ICE detention center. Like, we're seeing that level of resistance. We're not going to see it from the GOP. So I just want them, and because I'm a stubborn Taurus, I will not give up on this. I'm like a dog with a bone. I want Republican leadership to have to be forced to declare on the record, whether it's in the House and Senate or on television in an interview, they all need to be asked, are you loyal to Trump or are you loyal to America? Because your constituents voted for you to put country ahead of party and do your job to protect them. That's your job. If you can't do your job, resign. Are you loyal to Trump or are you loyal to America? That to me is the number one question every Republican should be asked.
Well, it's an easy answer. They'll say yes, of course, and they'll say that yeah, I mean, they think, well, they'll say this is what we're doing. You know, we're getting rid of the deep state.
No, you're not.
We've done all we can to get rid of DEI, all this other
No, you
bullshit.
haven't.
Well, I mean,
Bullshit,
they're
all of
making
it.
America. They're making it worse. They're
Right.
destroying it. They're dragging us back to the dark ages. I mean, this is what the Democrats
Correct.
have to start vocalizing and verbalizing, and we talk
Right.
about it on the show all the time. We talk about it here, and I talk about it on Fridays on Tara Buster and blah blah blah, and on the Political Voices Substack.
And we talk about it every time
Yes.
we get on anywhere, right?
We have to reclaim patriotism and detail with the receipts what the hell is going on here. And they're not making America great. They're dragging America back to the system that the founders fought a revolution to overthrow. That is the bottom line, where the rich run and rule everything and everyone else has no government services, no access to power. You have no say in the matter except you await your rewards compliantly in heaven. That's what they're doing. Know them by their fruits.
Yeah, no, it's just people who refuse to learn from history are dooming the rest of us to repeat
Yes.
it against our will. This is not the will of the people at all, and it's not what they were elected to do. And if they're going to talk
right.
about the Constitution, then they need to be asked, what did you think when you
Right.
heard Donald Trump say he didn't know if he had to uphold the Constitution? And why are you okay with him defying a unanimous Supreme Court decision?
Exactly.
These are all valid questions to ask of Republicans. Now, yesterday, I spent a significant amount of time of my day reaching out to Senate Republican leadership, a fruitless pursuit, as you might guess. But again, it's about asking the question, planting the seed, pulling them sort of out of their complacent bubble for a moment and challenge what they're delivering, because that's part of it too. Because to remain silent is to be complicit, and so.
Yep.
I'm keeping a tally here of what I'm doing. So yesterday I started with leadership, and then I plan on reaching out to the rest of the Senate afterwards, Senate Republicans. So I left voicemails for John Thune, who is the majority leader, for Tom Cotton, for Shelley Capito, for James Langford. I spoke to someone in Barrasso's office, and they said to email them, and I didn't email them yet, but I'm going to email them today. And then there's a very nice young man who answers the phone for Tim Scott. Very nice, very nice, very polite. And I asked him the question that I ask everybody who answers the phone, which is why?
Yeah.
Is he openly losing loyalty to? And I said, I understand that it is not your job to answer questions, and you might not be able to, but I'm going to ask you this question anyway. And then I asked him, and he's like, ma'am, I just have no idea. And so,
What did you ask?
Ma'am,
Specifically.
I said, Tim Scott continues to be a vocal supporter of Donald Trump after this, and this. And so now that leads me to my question of, is Tim Scott more loyal to Donald Trump or to the United States of America? And will he stand up and say either? And he said, ma'am, I have no idea what the senator thinks. And I said, I absolutely understand that. Is the comms director available? And if not, may I have their email? I've been very polite, by the way, when I've been
Yeah.
leaving the voicemails or talking to
Yeah,
people.
that's how you
Because
got to do it.
I understand most of the time the person who answers the phone, it's just their job. Now, that's not always the case. Like
No.
the bitch who answers Marjorie Taylor Greene's phone is terrible when she does answer the phone, and the two assholes who answer Nancy Mace's phone
Oh,
are
God.
awful. And I don't even bother calling them. I email her comms director and get nothing in return from her. So, like, I understand
You
where
might
to
even
direct
be
my
blocked
energy.
at this point because you've been.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But I also think that if I called Nancy Mace's office, I think they probably have my phone number on a list.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I mean.
answer it. Right? So, the guy from Tim Scott's office, I ask about the comms director. He goes, may I put you on a brief hold? They put me on a hold. They come back and they say, ma'am, they told me that the best thing for you to do is fill out the email contact form on the senator's website, and you
Fuck.
and I guarantee you will get a response.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, okay.
The first of never.
You'll get a response, but it won't be the response you want. If you're not a constituent of South Carolina, if you're because you have to, it has the asterisk of you must fill out this field. So you must fill out your salutation, your title, like Ms., Mr., Doctor, whatever. Okay, I'm a Ms. Fine, I don't say that ever because it's not 1978, but I still say Ms.
Well, what else do you say?
And then
Mrs. is more.
Well,
like,
I don't know, but then I'm not a Mrs.
Yeah.
Or Miss. Miss is like I've never been.
MS. Not MISS. That's like, come on.
MS period.
Exactly.
But anyway, and then you have to put your address, including your city, state, and zip code. So as soon as it's not a South Carolina zip code, they're not going to care what I have to say. But anyway, and I wrote my question and linked to our this podcast, and I'm like, and every time I write a letter to anybody to introduce I'm a contributing writer and podcast host on the Political Voices Network, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And so I have a legitimate reason.
Yeah.
I say I'm a member of the independent media, and it is my job to tell my audience the truth about what our government is doing every day, whether it's about Democrats, Republicans, or independents. I'm only invested in the truth. Why this? Same question I asked the kid on the phone. Trump or America, because it can't be both. Is basically the bottom line. This is the email. I got an email back from him almost immediately, because it's an auto reply. Thank you for there was no salutation, not a dear Ms. Dublin, not dear Tara Dublin, nothing that acknowledged that I have a name or I'm a person. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with me. As a matter of professional courtesy to my U.S. Senate colleagues, I defer to them and encourage you to contact your U.S. Senator with this issue. In addition, I deeply value my correspondence with South Carolinians. Because of the high volume of mail I receive on a daily basis, I will give preference to responding to my constituents.
Yeah, that makes
You are
sense.
that doesn't
No, I
sit
mean, it makes
well
sense. You
with
got
this
it.
one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, that's the auto reply. First of all, you are Republican leadership. So it's not just about your constituents. It's about every single American citizen, right? Your leadership, you're there. You have a responsibility. Sorry, not good enough. Secondly, my senators are Democrats. What am I going to do? Call up Merkley and Wyden and be like, can you tell me why they're a bunch of fucking traitors? Because that's the question. I already know where my senators' loyalties are. And in fact, my Senator Jeff Merkley is introducing a new bill so that no elected official can accept cryptocurrency. I love that because they're right now trying to turn the White House into the Trump-Musk cryptocurrency arena frat house. So I like that. And also my Senator Jeff Merkley did a whole video the other day about how you do not have to comply with face recognition when you're at the airport. Because there's real ID. You can fly with real ID or your passport.
Yeah,
Using
you
your
have
driver's
to now.
license
Right.
is now no longer okay. So if you don't have a real ID, you have to present a passport. But if you want to use your driver's license, they put your driver's license in the machine, and then they want you to do facial recognition. And you, as an American citizen, are legally allowed to opt out of the facial recognition because what they're trying to do is build a national database of facial recognition. So they can be like, nope, not her. She can't
It's
fly.
coming no matter
It's
what.
coming, right?
Like, you can opt out all you want, but
Right. And
Yeah.
he's at Reagan National Airport in DC, and he is a senator, doesn't identify himself as a senator to the TSA agent, just says, "No, I'm opting out." And the guy's like, "You can't." He's like, "Yes, I can. Yes, I can." So then he gets out of line and makes this video saying, "You do not have to do this. And here is what you say if you're flying somewhere and they will not, and they want to do the facial recognition scan. And you say no. You say, no, I will opt out." And I think it will depend going forward on where your airport is, because they don't do it when you're flying out of Portland, but they're trying to do it when you're flying in or you're flying out of Washington, D.C. That was his example. So there are all these different acts of resistance that we can be doing. If you're, and Democrats are obviously leading the way on that, but they're already doing the job that we elected them to do. They're pushing back to the best of their ability. They're creating. There's a new bill being introduced to just eliminate Doge completely, just dismantle it because it's not a real department in the first place,
Oh,
and
that's
should
good.
have no power. Yes, so we're seeing that, and it's really, really important for us to lift that up and make sure that that news and the good stuff that Democrats are doing gets out there. What could we do? I don't know, like a Democratic press secretary,
Right. Yes,
which
we've
I've been
proposing
asking
that.
for.
Exactly.
Now, there's another issue facing Democrats today. I don't know if you saw, but they're going to do another vote at the DNC for DNC vice chair.
Oh, really? For vice chair?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
If you pull up Malcolm Kenyatta's Twitter, there is beef between him and David Hogg. And David Hogg has really, I don't think he's doing the best by the party at the moment, because he wants to broom all of these Democrats out of their seats and put in different people, which is valid in certain situations, but not all. And while some deserve time limits, there's different arguments for different things. But what they're doing,
Yeah.
I didn't have enough time to fully investigate why they're doing another vote, because
For
last
vice
time
chair?
around,
They
for vice chair,
okay.
which there's normally just one vice chair, but they've been co-vice chairs. Now, Malcolm tweeted that when they did the vote the first time, when they put Ken Martin as new DNC chair, and the vote was split between him and David Hogg, David received fewer votes than Malcolm Kenyatta did. So really, Malcolm should have just gotten it. And we don't want to say it's a racial thing. Malcolm Kenyatta is a black man. David Hogg is a white kid. And, and David has valid reasons for being on the national stage. He's a Parkland survivor. He's a gun rights activist. He's really emerged as a voice for his generation, and as have, his fellow Parkland activists. I don't think that qualifies him to be DNC vice chair. He's too young. He doesn't have the experience. He's great in a role like we serve, where we're commenting, but we're not holding any real positions, because we're not in that world. And I'm not saying he couldn't do it later, but I'd like to see him gain some more experience. And I think that points to, this insta fame that we have in the age of the internet, where someone goes viral and everyone's like, "You should run for president." Well,
Oh, yeah.
maybe you should get some more experience, right? So
Yeah.
we
it's just-
can't have any fracturing in our leadership. We need to really be as much of a cohesive, united front as possible. And this just makes us look like we still don't know what we're doing, because
Well,
we
that's
don't
the
have a de
problem.
facto leader. We don't have a defining message. Now there's stuff going on at the DNC. We don't have a Democratic press secretary. We don't have one place to get all of our information and trust the source. And MAGA does. Like, for all of their failings and all of the terrible shit that they do, they have a leader they're united behind. They have a mission they're united behind. It's not a good one. It's not a healthy one, but they are united in it, and we
Well,
can't
that's
say
the
that.
truth.
And so,
And this is the problem with
Right,
the,
and so
with the
that-
Democrats. And I saw Chuck Schumer today going on and saying
Again.
that he would stop he's going to block every Republican nominee or for whatever moving forward because of this
Good,
other
it's about
thing.
time.
Yeah, but come on, Chuck. He's got to go. He's got to go. He's just not an inspiring leader. He is very
No.
weak, and it's not just a perception thing. I mean, the
No.
fact that we're talking about it on the last show, that he sent a strongly word. That's his answer. What have you been doing? I sent a letter to somebody. It's like a joke.
BFD.
And
I sent a letter. Look what happened.
right.
Nothing.
But we didn't even get to see what that letter is. That's the problem too. He made no, big deal about it. He didn't hold a press conference about the letter. He didn't do any kind of performance art on the steps of the Capitol to garner press attention. Nothing. So he's got to go. He's just the old way that has allowed this shit to happen. He's been in the Congress while the United States working class went from the most to the least upwardly mobile, from the slightest income gap to the widest income gap, and of all Western democracies. So, good luck, but goodbye. It's enough.
Right.
And this is part of the problem. This is it with the DNC. And the other thing that I'm glad. What was that other guy? Malcolm.
Malcolm Kenyatta.
Not Kenyatta.
No.
I'm thinking Kenyatta. No, the guy he was arguing with. He wanted to be DNC chair, but he didn't get it. He didn't win, and I was glad because when this is what drives me up a wall, and maybe the people who watch my show know all about it. About when the Republicans don't say the name of the Democratic Party, they call it Democrat Party. And that's a pejorative. It's a pejorative. It goes back to Lee Atwater. Don't call them by their name. Emphasize the rat. It's very juvenile, and of course, because that's all Republicans have. But he sat there, Martin O'Malley. Yes, that's who it was. And as perjury traitor Green and all the other disgusting maggots, Nancy Mace, they all went after him, calling him, saying that he wanted to be the chair of the Democrat National Committee. And not a single time did he stop them and say, I know this is all you have, but a juvenile pejorative, but the name is the Democratic National Committee.
Correct.
And, and the fact that they continue to do it and no one ever stops them. To me, it looks like weakness. How many times does somebody get to call you outside of your name until you look like a beaten dog? And that's the problem. So the Democrats, I guess they believe that they're modeling adult behavior, that they're not going to stoop to that level. And even calling them out will give it energy. But I'm sorry. It doesn't work like that. You cannot leave anything to someone else's interpretation. You got to fight for yourself. Right. If you can't even fight for your own goddamn name, how are we going to trust them to fight for this country? That's the truth.
And that is. And last week here in Portland, I went to a meeting of local Democrats who are concerned and want to start doing something locally, are spurred to act. And a member of my Senator Jeff Merkley's campaign staff happened to be there, and I spoke with her for a little bit after the meeting. And I said, my biggest frustration, not with my senators are stepping up and have been obstructive against this regime from the start. I'm very proud of that. But I'm frustrated that they're not enough Democrats doing what my senators are doing. And until we have that, and until we have a cohesive leader, we're going to continue to have these issues. And that's why, we've also, we're going to start to have guests here on the show. And we're very excited that on Thursday, our very first guest will be our beloved friend, Hal Sparks. But I would love for Jeff Merkley to be like the next person who joins us, because he is really emerging as someone who could be a Senate Majority Leader. He is doing that. Cory Booker, in a lot of ways, is stepping up to do that. And Ron Wyden, Patty Murray from Washington is being incredibly effective in all of these confirmation hearings. And she held Kash Patel's feet to the fire. She was like, you were supposed to turn in your budget last week and by law, and you didn't do it. When are we getting it? And he's like, yeah, I don't really have a timeline for that. She's like, so you're just not going to do it. And it was very lackadaisical and very he was like, and then he was asked, are you going to uphold this, that? And he's like, am I going to uphold the law? Yeah, sure. Like that.
Sure,
like,
what?
Yeah,
Fuck it. Maybe. Yeah,
no,
whatever.
You're not. No, you're you're not. You're
Well, they
not
just
doing
lie.
that.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Mm-hmm. That's
they
what I
they
was
are.
talking
And
about.
hey, yeah, exactly. And hey, by the way, I want to say thank you to Jim for being our
Oh
good guy
yes,
moderator in the
Jim.
chat. We also if anybody in the chat has a question to ask
Yes.
either of us, please drop that in there because we want to really have. For me, it's about like at some point I want to be able to feel like we're having a conversation rather
Mm,
than anybody is talking at you or
right.
lecturing you. I never want to come
Yeah.
across like that. And like when I was on the radio here in Portland, for me, it was about imagining I'm sitting at like my favorite bar having a conversation with someone about music. So I want to feel like we're having a conversation. We're sitting around a table having a chat about politics.
Or if you'd like
Um,
us to
and
talk about a specific thing that's going
yeah,
on or you saw.
if
Yeah.
there's an issue that we're just not hitting on because there's so many,
Yeah.
let us know what your number one issues are because that's something else that I'm involved with this local quote unquote democracy club is focusing on our top issues. What are they? Defining our like really figuring out our top 3 issues and putting as much energy behind those issues as possible so that they can be addressed accurately. So like in Portland, maybe, maybe it's education, maybe it's climate change because we're worried about the big earthquake coming. Maybe it's about, the clean water, clean air. Maybe it's about LGBTQ rights. Maybe it's about women's rights. Maybe it's about abortion rights. There's so many different issues that matter to Democrats, and they're all to help the population. It's all to help people. That's what our government is supposed to do. Democrats deliver, Republicans remove. And that's the other thing that I always try to impress on the MAGA cultists who come for me. This is hurting you too, right? This is your country.
Yeah.
It's your air. It's your water. It's your children. It's your livelihoods. It's your Medicare. It's your SNAP benefits. You should care so much about what's happening to you. And I don't know why it has to take where their red line is. And apparently their red line is not accepting a plane from Qatar.
They have
Like they're
it
fine with
doesn't
him being an
seem, I don't know.
adjudicated rapist, but they're
Yeah.
fine with him being a convicted felon, but don't take a plane from Qatar. That's our red line.
Right.
Well, I'll
Ted
take
Cruz
I'll
says
take
that he has concerns about the plane.
Concerns. Oh
It's
no.
like
Concerns. Just like
that's as
Susan
good as it
Collins, very
gets. That's
concerned.
right.
Are you
That's as good as
concerned?
it gets with with these maggots. That's their pushback, and I get it. I don't know. Yes, okay. Thank you for doing the right thing this one time,
Right.
but how about all of the other threats to national security? The fact that Trump is clearly a Russian asset. If you look at his
I mean, duh.
behavior through that lens, everything makes sense. That they voted for this effing traitor. They made him their standard bearer. They know that he's compromised with Putin. They know he's unfit.
Yeah.
They know that he sent a mob of traitors to stop the peaceful transfer of power. On top of that, he is in league with Putin, doing just checking off Putin's wish list. They making
Correct.
this country a vassal state of this nothing country, really. I mean, what does Russia have? But they have gas. That's about it. They're not. It's not like they're a great. They're a nuclear power,
And
but they're
vodka.
not. Yeah, I
Rascin
mean,
vodka.
right. So it's not like they're just they really do need us more
Yeah.
than we need them. But come on. It's all because
Oh.
he wants a tacky hotel, or he like years ago he tweeted, "Can Putin be my best friend?" What a bitch!
Oh, is he gonna
What
be
a
at the Miss
needy
Universe
bitch!
pageant?
Yes.
You know what? It's so weird though because we all those who know, if you know, you know. As soon as so Donald Trump was groomed by Roy Cohn, and then Roy Cohn died of AIDS in 1986. So he lost his daddy.
Right.
Like Trump always had daddy issues, which is why Roy Cohn was able to kind of get him and groom him. He saw he was vulnerable. He's stupid, but rich. Stupid, but rich and connected. Easily malleable. Daddy issues.
Well,
All he needed was
yeah.
attention. Right? So he loses Roy Cohn in 1986. He meets Vladimir Putin like barely a year later in 1987, and when Putin was a KGB agent. And he helped Vladimir Putin help the Russian mob establish a footing in New York. Vladimir Putin has owned and has been grooming Donald Trump since 1987. This is a fact. It has been documented. There's a lengthy Vox article about it. And you can find it. You're in the Do Your Own Research cult. Those can go and look if you're interested. I tweeted about it today. And I have that wonderful eternal meme where it's The Shining, but it's Trump kneeling. They photoshopped Trump's face on the plushie person who's kneeling to give the guy in the suit a blowjob, and
Oh shit.
the guy in the suit has been. I tweeted it. You can pull it up right now. It's one of the last things I tweeted before the show started.
Let's see.
It's a great meme. It's an evergreen meme because Trump has been, on his knees for Putin since I graduated high school, which was 1987.
Oh, yes.
So, and I'm 56. So that is a very long time to be owned by someone and be in debt to someone.
I'm looking
If
at
you
the
think
thing.
about it, he has been in personal debt to personal, not just financial, but emotional. Look at that. That is true.
That's
That
a
is
true
an
thing
incredibly
that happened.
accurate
No.
portrayal of their relationship. There's the balance. Trump on his knees in front of Daddy Vladdy.
As a furry. Is that what that is?
Let that a furry, a plushie, I forget, they're both. Yes, a furry, sure, whatever. And this is just a perfect example. MAGA is the repressed sex cult.
Oh, yes.
Mike Lee, the Mormon from Utah, who gleefully told seniors that he's taking away their Social Security.
Ugh.
Years ago, he told them that, and that's a
It's
great
fucking
that's a
horrible.
great clip to share with him every chance you get. When they say we're not going to take away your Social Security, there he is. Hey, look at that. That's informative. But Mike Lee wants to get rid of all porn, porn
well,
everywhere.
It's too tempting.
Eradicate porn
well, that's
from the
Freud.
internet.
You know what I mean? That they
Tell us you
project
love
their
porn.
manias. Yeah. Tell us.
Tell us you're a repressed freak without telling us. By the way, we asked for questions from the chat. It's a very important question from Luck Dragon. Question: Are the Go-Go's a punk rock band?
Oh,
See, that's my
well,
kind of
you can
question.
answer that. Yeah.
I would say this. I can say this with all knowledge. The Go-Go's started as a punk band on the LA punk scene. You can read Kathy Valentine's memoir, which is excellent. They were absolutely a punk band and started as a punk band on the Sunset Strip. And then they just kind of evolved into a more pop band because that was commercially and financially successful. But they absolutely hold on to their punk roots. 100%. There you go. That's my take as a former alternative radio DJ. Okay.
Very nice.
There it is. There's your answer. Thank you.
Well, I
Thank
saw
you.
that
I'm-
Kathy had a question too, saying Kathy said just was alerted that Jamie Raskin and the Democrats are looking into the Trump Cutter connection. Do you think they will
Excellent.
get anywhere? So
Yes.
We'll see. Okay, next question. No, just kidding. The only thing they can have investigations and hearings. The prospects for
Yes.
success. Well, let's see. They have to keep
Again,
public attention
They just-
on the issue,
Right.
and
Yes.
because the Republican majority will make it difficult, if not impossible,
right.
to compel
Well,
any kind of
but
action. Right?
The other Republicans have shown up to testify before
Yeah, they might,
committees.
because they
In
have
this
some
time,
Republican.
We have seen that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, yes, I would say that we will see hearings on this sooner rather than later. And you have
Right.
Raskin in charge; it's going to happen.
Well, they'll
He
they
was an
can-
impeachment manager, so
Right.
I love Jamie Raskin. I think
He's great.
I would love to see Yeah, no, Jamie Raskin has survived so many unbelievable, tragic, insurmountable. A cancer survivor. His son died by
I know.
suicide right before January
horrible.
6th.
Ugh.
Then he brings his daughter to watch the peaceful transfer of power, and instead they end up
Yeah.
being attacked on January 6th.
Mhm.
So when Jamie Raskin steps up and says, "I'm going to do this," he is going to do it, and he's going to do it well, and he's going to be he's going to get something, he's going to get results. And it may not be the exact results that we want, like being an impeachment manager and getting enough Democrats in the House to vote to move the vote to the Senate, but then no Senate Republicans voting for it. This time, I think we can do that.
Yes,
Again, like I said earlier,
Probably.
earlier, I think that they could round up enough, especially, I mean, he if he did nothing else but just accept this plane from Qatar, that's an impeachable offense right there
Yes,
on its
of
that by
course.
itself. So they have
Right.
enough. What they
Yes.
don't have is a majority. But I mean, their majority is so razor thin. I think they would need like
Well,
3 or 4
yeah.
Republicans
It'll probably be able
to
to
bring.
advance, but while they
And I
can,
think that they will.
right, they can succeed in, raising the ethical, legal, national
That
security issues, but
yes, if
they will
it,
face
and if
an uphill battle, though, if they don't have Republican cooperation. That's it. Yeah, that's the
yeah,
answer, I believe,
yeah.
to this question.
So, oh, and Kathy saying Jamie Raskin is a constitutional law professor, and Pam Bondi failed constitutional law.
Oh,
What a
really? I
coincidence!
don't.
Oh,
No,
yes,
I'm not
yes,
surprised.
she did. Yes, she did, and that's
Incredible.
why she's not going to release the Epstein files unredacted
Well,
because she's
yeah,
protecting Trump.
of
Because
course.
any MAGA person who's demanding the unredacted Epstein files, and Democrats are demanding it now too. They want the full
Yeah.
unredacted Epstein files as well. The excerpt that I personally recorded that is circulating, that I have tweeted it endlessly, I have shared it endlessly. It is a pinned post on my Instagram, which is at Tara Dublin. Tara Dublin Rocks, the number 1. Tara Dublin Rocks 1. I need more Instagram followers. But
Me too.
It's pinned. Yes, we both need. Just
I
follow us
mean,
everywhere, would you?
I'm
And then
bad
sign
at
up for
that.
her Substack and my Substack. And, independent media voices need your support now more than ever. So if you've got the scratch to kick down to the two
Yeah.
of us, we
Why
would
the hell not?
greatly appreciate it, because being a freelancer, being a political voice, it's a harsh realm at times. But anyway, now I don't even remember what I was asking for.
I don't know. I don't
Raskin.
know.
We were talking about
Oh, yeah,
Raskin and
Raskin.
constitutional law. Oh, Pam Bondi and Epstein files. Good. Okay.
Oh,
great.
yes, Epstein
It is my
Files.
pinned post. The Epstein file excerpt, and I also talked about it yesterday on Hal's show. The excerpt that I shared and then eventually just recorded because MAGA doesn't read, and now they think it's AI, which is stupid because it's my voice. I did it.
Oh, wow.
It's from Katie Johnson's testimony. And she testified that she and Maria Doe, so they're 12 and 13, they were procured for Trump
Oh,
by Jeffrey Epstein
wow.
and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ugh.
They're in a room with Trump. It doesn't, this excerpt doesn't give too many specifics of location because it's just an excerpt. But it describes a couple of moments from what he did to them, and it's vile. They're 12 and 13. The first thing
They're
that
nothing.
is in
They're
it is that
nothing
he
creatures.
slapped them across the face because they gave him a bad blowjob. Now I would say, first of all, and like I told Hal, I didn't know what a blowjob was when I was 12 and 13. He has nothing to blow, so I don't
Ugh.
know how good you could do of a
Ugh.
job there, right?
Thanks
But
for
for
the
them at
nightmares.
12 and 13, having that forced in their faces, so he slaps them both in the face, a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old, roughly the same age as his daughter Ivanka. So
Well, there
physically
you go.
physically assaulting them after orally raping them, and then he refused to wear a condom when he
Yeah. Well,
vaginally raped them.
That's what Stormy said.
Bareback,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Would not wear a condom. So after he finished raping them bareback, they were crying from the trauma, but also they were worried they were going to get pregnant because he raped them without a
Ugh.
condom, and he
Ugh.
threw a couple of $100 in cash at them and told them to go get, quote, a fucking abortion. So when you share that, I share that, it's my voice reading it. It's worse when you hear it in detail. That's up to you if you want to go and listen to it. You should, because then you should share it. You should make as many people hear it as possible because it's vile. MAGA people can't handle it
Well,
because they know it's true.
fake.
It's from the
Yeah.
Epstein file, so they think they'll say it's fake and it's not. They'll say it's AI. It's my voice.
They'll say Bill
They'll
Clinton.
say-
What about Bill Clinton?
We haven't seen anything like that about.
Well,
Bill
that's
Clinton.
it. Well,
Now-
and in fact, Virginia Dupree, God rest her soul, or Namyaho Rengeko, she said that yes, Bill Clinton was on the plane, but he was never involved.
We don't know what he did.
Well,
We
she
don't know what he
said
did.
that. I mean, she was one of them when he
Yeah.
was there. One of the trafficked
Right.
young women when all this
Right.
was going on. But she did say that he was there for legitimate business. She said that, and if there
Which
was
is
no, I mean, she has no reason to lie about that. Of course, she
right.
would have
Right.
pulled his covers if he did
And
anything other than that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I have said repeatedly, if the unredacted Epstein files showed that Bill Clinton did something to a child, I would want him held accountable for
Of
it
course.
because that's
Yes.
abhorrent. It's abhorrent. And, anytime I talk about this, I always talk about how Democrats are able to hold our own accountable. We have done it repeatedly throughout our history, and we've done it in recent history. Bob Menendez, Michael Avenatti, further back, John Edwards. Those are the ones that I always put up as examples because when we find out you have done wrong, we are going to hold you accountable. That's what
Yes.
another thing Democrats do that Republicans won't. And so it's a question of like your people are doing worse than anything any of ours have ever done that we can show you. Oh, Gary Hart had an affair. Like,
I
it's
know.
quaint.
Whoopee,
Bill Clinton had an affair.
whoopee doopie.
Probably more than one. None of our business. None of our business. Whatever goes on
Exactly.
in another person's marriage is none of our business. He also never stopped doing the job of president, right? He never abdicated his responsibility as president. He never gave us the impression that he was not doing his job before we found out about it, after we found out about it. I mean, he was reelected. He served 2 terms. So it comes down to a person's comportment, behavior, who they are throughout their entire lives. And Bill Clinton was always been, despite being a ladies' man, a devoted public servant. Right? So it's not
you
the
could be
same.
2 things. I mean, that's what
Right,
happened
right,
with every other
exactly.
president had affairs during their presidency. I mean, even FDR had he was with his mistress when he passed away.
Right.
And, everybody knew it. It was kind of like a
Hey,
gentleman's
hey,
agreement
hey.
not to, report about it. So, yeah.
Right. And my take is I don't need to know. I don't need to know. If you're not
Exactly.
fucking
Who
over the
cares?
country, if you're taking care of the country, then I don't care. Whatever makes you happy. Whatever keeps you happy and keeps you motivated, good, as long as no one's getting hurt. And
Right.
I would guess, and I am not a person who's going to speak like on it to anybody's lived experience, but I would guess that Hillary is like, look, there's just some things I'm not going to do. And if you want to find a person who does that, as long as you don't fall in love with them and as long as you don't embarrass me and as long as you don't screw up our ability to earn a living, we'll keep it on the DL. There are plenty of couples who have arrangements or they
who
have
cares,
open
really,
marriages. Or
right?
there are people who work in our government right now who probably have that arrangement, and we don't know and we shouldn't know because it's none of our business, as long as they're doing their job and not committing treason against the United States or hurting a child. I don't really care. I don't really care about stuff like that. And that, when they bring up Bill Clinton, that's just a movement of the goalposts.
Right.
Because they don't want you looking at Trump. They
No.
don't want to have to
And
admit
he's
they
repugnant.
don't.
In every
It is
way, shape,
repugnant.
and form, he is so it's like, how dare they? That's why I can't stand these maggots. Besides everything else, is because the
Right.
absolute utter hypocrisy of having to drag us through all of these manias. What about the children? What about the children? Bill Clinton's blowjob. Look at
What about
your
the
standard
children?
bearer. Look at you. And now nothing
the
matters.
Pro-life party, the pro-life party who would be fine with children, young children working overnight shifts in
Of
factories.
course. Well, it's not going to be their
Uh,
kids. It's just the poor kids.
No, it's poor kids.
That's
It's
it.
just it's really. We have flown through another hour. It's amazing how fast
I
this
know.
hour goes.
It's
It's crazy fast.
It's amazing.
It's
It's
redunculous.
redunculous.
It is. All right. Well,
We just
thank
said
you
that
to
at the
everybody
same time. Okay.
Thank you, everybody who hung out with us. Thank you, everybody who's watching the replay. Be sure to sign up for Devlin's Substack, my Substack, the Political Voices Substack. If you have an extra $10,
Throw
kick it
throw
down.
Yeah.
Kick it down, share the wealth. You know what we're saying? And don't forget, support everybody else on the Political Voices Network. We will be back here on Thursday, same tower time, same tower channel, with our beloved buddy, Hal Sparks is our very, very first guest.
That's great.
Thank you so much for being here. We're very grateful for you. And resist.
All
Get
right,
out there and
guys.
resist.
See you later.